Good evening and welcome to the regular City Council meeting for the City of St. Peter, Minnesota. It is Monday, June 9th, 2025. At 7:02 p.m. we are called to order. Would all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, everybody's received a copy of the agenda. Are there any revisions to the agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved. The minutes appear on pages 5 through 10 of the packet. Are there any revisions or corrections to the minutes as distributed? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approval say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We have time on our schedule for visitors. Are there any visitors who'd like to address the council on any agenda item? Hearing none, we also have time for general visitor comments. Is there a visitor who'd like to address the council on another matter? Hearing none, we will move on to the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda begins with the memo on page 11 and concludes with the resolution that appears on pages 33 through 34. And Todd, I know we have one correction to the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, we do on page 34, it's the top wage for Eleanor Winterfeld lifeguard. It's listed there as $15.75. It should be $17.25, and the change is due to her years of service.
Thanks. So that is a correction to the memo in the packet as well as the resolution.
Yeah.
Let's see, the consent agenda, in addition to that, includes the following licenses. We have temporary gambling to the Knights of Columbus, temporary liquor to St. Peter Lions, and off-sale liquor. The addresses and dates are listed within the resolution. The following employee appointments as well: Drew Dixon, IT manager, and Corey Johnson, Sustainability and Communications Coordinator. Wages and other details are also listed within the consent agenda. We have employee appointments including Eleanor, Wanda Foss, Laird Bly, Brian Abel, Brady Rohoff, and Trent Fontaine Wendinger. Positions and wages are listed in the packet. Of course, there was a correction that we already mentioned to Eleanor's wage. Barbara Farr-Clacius is hereby terminated from MRVT employment effective June 10th, 2025. And the following items are declared as surplus and staff will be authorized to dispose of them. That is 3 HP printers, as well as the schedule of disbursements for May 20th, 25 through June 4th, 2025. Is there any discussion or questions about any of the items on the consent agenda? Brad?
I'd just like to call out the one of the new positions we're adding, the Sustainability and Communications Coordinator position. I think it's a great example of the city moving forward. The Communication Coordinator side of it is similar to when we hired our HR specialist last year, helping to lighten the administrative load of a growing city, taking a burden off of both the city administrator and other staff. And the Sustainability Coordinator in the sustainability side of thing, really bringing us in line with other cities that are moving forward, allowing us to go after both not just energy sustainability issues, but also environmental issues, climate resilience issues. And I think this is just a good example of the city moving forward and addressing the needs that we have. So.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Hearing nothing further, is there a motion to approve the resolution that appears on pages 33 through 34 of the packet?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
Councilmember Sharstrom.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson. Aye. Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. We have no items of unfinished business tonight. We will move on to our first item of new business, which is a pool painting closeout. That starts with the memo on page 35.
Mayor, members, usually Pete would be here to talk about this, but as you know, he's out of town on an assignment tonight. This is for elevation coating, and the request is to approve the resolution that provides for final payment of just about $51,000. As you know, this is being paid for by the equipment certificate and was bid out separately, and the council approved that bid. The project has been completed according to specifications, and for those of you that have been down near the pool, it's been in operation for a couple of days here, and it does look really great. We need to do this on a regular basis. Generally, the rotation on this is about once every 5 to 7 years, depending on weather and a number of factors. Be happy to answer any non-technical paint questions related to this, but the resolution's on page 36.
All right, any non-technical paint questions for Todd or any discussion? Hearing nothing further, the resolution authorizing acceptance of the Roy T. Lindenberg Pool Complex painting project and authorizing final payment appears on page 36 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sharstrom.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up, Minnesota Avenue feasibility report.
Mayor members, your city engineer, Jeff Domris, is here to talk about this request, which is ordering a feasibility report for improvements, primarily utility improvements that would be local responsibility along Highway 169. Jeff?
Todd. Good evening, Mayor and council members. As you know, MnDOT will be reconstructing Trunk Highway 169 Minnesota Avenue in 2027 between Chestnut Street and Union. As part of the project, city staff would like to consider replacing the sanitary sewer, which is down the center of the roadway. It's a vitrified clay pipe. Services are vitrified clay, poor condition, susceptible to I&I. And so that water basically that enters the pipe is treated unnecessarily at the wastewater treatment plant. So proposing to replace that. Water main was installed in 2009, so they're not proposing to do anything with that other than replacing some non-compliant services. And then also roadway, curb and gutter, sidewalk improvements are also being considered for assessment there. To help finance the improvements, the city is considering assessing the project costs. As part of that, next step is to, for the city council, is to consider preparation of a preliminary engineering report or feasibility report, also known as, to determine the cost effectiveness, feasibility, and need of the proposed improvements. Once prepared, that would be brought back to the city council for consideration to move ahead or not. And
Thank you very much. Any questions for Todd or for Jeff? Carrie?
The clay pipe that would need to be replaced or proposed to be replaced, you said that was for stormwater or sanitary sewer?
yes, good question. The it would be for sanitary sewer. It's a pipe that was installed originally in the 1930s and 1940s. Almost 100 years old already, but that was typical back then to use vitrified clay, which is very hard, brittle, and a lot of times doesn't contain gasketed joints, so groundwater is easily infiltrates along with the manholes, which are brick, just poor condition. So for reconstructing a highway, now is the time to, or the roadway, now is the time to consider replacing that with newer pipe and manholes.
I'm kind of anticipating the question that, in 2009, why wasn't this, replaced or repaired? Well, what would you say to that, Todd?
I would say the decision at that time really related to funding that was available and what was believed was necessary based on the condition of the materials at that time. And so there was a priority placed on some of the water main work that was done, which is not co-located with sewer, not in the same trench, unless there are some areas that might be, but I think the majority of it is not. And so that was the decision that was made at the time. As you may recall, there was not a full reconstruction of that roadway from Broadway North or from Chatham North. And so we did what we could based on what work was going to be undertaken in conjunction with DOT.
Thank you.
Brad?
What are you going to be replacing it with?
The sanitary sewer is proposed to be replaced with polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, which is gasketed.
What are these assessments gonna look like? in line with our assessment policy?
Yeah, so we would anticipate, because of the change in the assessment policy that the council made a few years back, that the maximum assessments we're talking about are in the $12,000 to $15,000 range in total. There will be variations in that depending on work that occurs on private property, because as you know, it's been the council's practice in the past to allow maybe someone's fixing their walk-up sidewalk or something like that to be added to the assessment. So we are going to work in conjunction with DOT to calculate costs and know really where we're at. So certainly, as I know the council understands, when you made the change to the assessment policy, the costs that you assess are not significant relative to the total cost of projects that you see. And so there will be impact to your utility funds, water, sewer, stormwater, and your general fund as well. And it is something that, as the engineer does the feasibility report, when we come back, there'll be discussion about what those costs appear to be. And then as a part of that process, there's an assessment roll that's put together in advance with estimates as to what the cost is. You'll be able to see all that on really a per parcel basis.
Derek?
Those assessments would be similar to the assessments we saw on Pine Street, correct?
They would be very similar to the ones you saw on Pine Street, as the council may recall. And I don't recall the exact date, whether it was December or January, you approved your new fee schedule. And so those were modified a couple $100 in your fee schedule, which has been your plan since you adopted the new assessment policy.
Any additional questions or discussion? Hearing nothing further, the resolution ordering Bolton and Menk, Inc. to prepare a feasibility report and to prepare an assessment roll for the 2027 Minnesota Avenue improvements, Chestnut Street to Union Street, appears on page 39 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharstrom.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Moving on, our next item of new business is the School District 508 Memorandum of Understanding. The memo appears on page 40 of the packet.
Mayor and members, this is an agreement or a renewal of an agreement that you've had in place since the mid-2000s, and this relates to youth development and youth service programs. This originally started during cuts to community ed, and the city said that it would take on some of the programming that community had done previously in this area, and the fee was determined at that time. Over the years, you've continued this process, and the school district, including community ed, have continued with this. You have an ability to serve these needs in ways that community ed typically doesn't. And so I think this has worked out well for both parties over the years. This agreement provides and stipulates certain types of services that your rec department would be providing, and for that you're paid approximately $12,000 for the season. I think the one challenge that we see here is that that number has not changed appreciably over the last number of years. And at some point, there is a concern whether we can continue to provide either the level of services that are articulated within the agreement or at the numbers that are anticipated. And so having an agreement this type is a super wonderful collaborative opportunity for you in the school district, but it does bear with it that if funding can't keep up at some point, you could be asked, and we're not asking at this time, but you could be asked to not provide for this agreement, and therefore those services would stop. The agreement today makes sense. We continue to see that this is income neutral and expense neutral for you. You get the dollars and you expend those, and those are the costs of the programs. And we certainly want to continue to see these programs related to youth leadership, service, and development continue within the community. Again, this is essentially the agreement that you've had for the last decade or more, and the agreement is included in your packet, as is a resolution on page, sorry, I have to flip my page here. 44, thank you very much.
Any questions for Todd or discussion? Hearing no further discussion, the resolution authorizing execution of Youth Development Memorandum of Understanding is on page 44 of the packet. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
Councilmember Sharstrom.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up, tree worker license approvals.
Madam Mayor, members, this information is included in your packet. You currently have 11 licensed tree workers, and Grant Sargent doing business as Sargent's LLC and Brandon Kenyon doing business as 507 Outdoor Services have each submitted the application and the additional information that's necessary as a part of that application. After a background check, there's nothing that staff believes would prohibit them from receiving a tree worker's license within the city of St. Peter. The resolution to approve these licenses is included within your packet.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, the resolution approving new licenses is on page 46. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
Councilmember Sharstrom.
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos.
Aye.
Mayor Noel.
Aye. And just one note, licensed tree workers are listed on the city website. So
Yes.
if you go to the city's website and type in tree worker or tree license or something, some variation of those, you should be able to search and find that.
So if you need to hire somebody who is licensed, you're set.
It's very handy.
Yeah.
All right, last item of new business, senior conversation acceptance.
Mayor, members, the action that I'm requesting from you tonight is to approve the attached resolution, really accepting the report that was done by your consultant on this. And I know all of you are very aware of community conversations and what that is within our community and the plan that the council adopted in 2021. The last one that you had was for senior citizens. And you reviewed that report and the report card at a couple of workshops ago. And so the information included in your packet is really meant to do three things. One of which is to remind people of this program process that you have in place, which is really to ensure that the programs that you provide currently within the city of St. Peter are accessible to all of your citizens. And so we do that with a very specific format that's outlined within that plan. The second item is to have the report, just as you get it, from the consultant that was hired to do the work with the focus groups and outline the pieces of information as to how to make St. Peter more welcoming to this specific demographic group. And then there's a report card, which is that table thing. And of course, all of these things you'll have on your website. This is one additional step in the process that we haven't taken previously. Previously, you've just talked about this, but the action that's recommended by city staff has been that you accept the report, and then we put this report on our website and make it available to anyone and everyone. We also send copies to various partners, and so folks that provide services to seniors within our area, we try and identify and send them copies or send them a link. We also provide this information to other people that might request it or have interest in seeing what's going on, especially as it relates to enhancing the opportunity for senior citizens to use the programs that you already have in place. Be happy to answer questions about this specific process, about the senior citizen community conversation that occurred late last year, or the report card. But Madam Mayor, the resolution is included in your packet to provide acceptance of the report and the report card.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing discussion, no discussion. The only thing I'll add is that what I've really appreciated about this series of conversations is that it's not just something we do and feel good about and the report goes on a shelf and it's never looked at again. We've really developed this process with an eye toward action, and so that when we're identifying barriers and we're either sharing that information, if it's not something that we can act on, for example, if it's something that the county does or some other group, we're sharing that information. But when it is a city issue or action item, we're following up. And so I really appreciate the work of staff on pulling the program together and also all the follow-up work. So it's been an important and really fruitful series of conversations.
I think we've learned things from talking with our folks in this way, asking the questions in the manner that they're being asked, and hearing those responses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the resolution accepting senior citizen community conversation report and report card is on page 64. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharstrom,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. Next up, we have an executive session.
Mayor and members, the request from staff is that you provide for a closed session under Minnesota statute. This is to discuss union negotiations with the utilities union, which is comprised of your water, wastewater, and stormwater employees. My anticipation is that you will come back into open session to potentially take action on this contract and to provide for adjournment.
All right, the resolution is on page 65. Is there any discussion or a motion to accept the resolution or to endorse the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Weisenfeld,
Aye.
Councilmember Sharstrom,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis.
Aye.
All right, the resolution is approved, and we will adjourn to closed session at 7:23 PM. Thank you. We are returning to open session. It is 7:34 PM to discuss the adoption of a resolution calling for the approval of contract between the City of St. Peter and the AFL-CIO Local 70 Water, Wastewater, Stormwater for calendar year 2025.
Mayor and members, you've had a couple of closed sessions on this matter. I believe that the negotiations are concluded. The information in your packet and the recommendation from city staff is to approve the resolution for a one-year contract. I know the document says 2 years, but one-year contract. The most important or salient parts of this contract are a 3% across the wage increase, the addition of the lab technician and that pay scale to the language, modification to jury duty, additional license stipend for foremen, holiday language clarification, a modification to on-call pay, a change in uniform and safety shoe language, and the MOU, which creates a separate work hour environment for water operators, and then some technical changes related to names and dates, those types of things. The resolution that's included in this packet also has an error, and so the resolution should say now, therefore, the mayor and city administrator are directed to enter into a contract, an MOU for the 2025 year between the city of St. Peter and AFL local AFL-CIO Local 70, water, wastewater, and stormwater. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Todd? Josh?
I think the next line has a typo too. I think it's supposed to contract expire in 2025.
Where are you at, Josh, if I could
The
ask?
contract expired on December 31st, 2024.
Oh, the current contract, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
I
no,
just
I
read
did
that.
the same thing when I read through it the first time. Yep.
All right. So if I could, my recommendation to it would be to ask for approval of the resolution with that modification.
All right. Is there any discussion on the memo provided or the resolution? Hearing nothing, is there a motion to approve the resolution as corrected?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sharstrom,
Aye.
Councilmember DeVos,
Aye.
Mayor Noel,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pettis,
Aye.
Councilmember Weisenfeld.
Aye.
The resolution is approved. We will move on to reports, and first up is a report from the mayor. I just wanted to mention that the Good Neighbor Diversity Council is hosting a Juneteenth celebration at Minnesota Square Park on June 19th, noon to 5. If anybody has attended their Festival of Nations, that's an absolutely wonderful event, and so I have no doubt that this will be a great event as well. the Good Neighbor Diversity Council is a wonderful organization in our community. And so just wanted to point that out and tell people so that they can get that on their calendar. Are there any reports from any council members? Here, oh yeah, Daryl.
We had our One Watershed, One Plan monthly policy committee meeting today, and the direction of the policy committee was to move forward with a joint powers collaboration versus a joint powers entity. So, related, the draft One Watershed, One Plan for the Mankato watershed has been prepared and has been sent up for agency review. Comments are due by July 8th. And Keisha hopefully will be forwarding that out so everybody can grab the link. It's a mere 260 pages to read through, so have at it. That's all I have.
Well, and thanks to Daryl for your service on that group. It's really important work for everyone in the watershed, not just rural, but also communities like ours. So thanks for doing that. Any other council member reports? Otherwise, we'll move on to a report from the city administrator.
Mayor, members, the only one that I have for you is just to remind not only you, but other folks within the community that city offices are closed on Juneteenth, which is Thursday the 19th. And so, again, non-emergency offices will be closed on that day. That's the only report that I have for you for tonight.
All right, super. Well, unless there's anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right, so far enough.